Does this sound like you? I fall asleep to affirmations. I say affirmations. I try and visualize. I do some scripting. Every time I get a negative thought, I try to combat it, and nothing is working. And your manifestation is so far away from you that you feel closer to the stars in the sky than you getting what you want. How can I shift and change this? If you find out more, listen on.
Manifest mindset with me.
Hello and welcome to Manifest Mindset by Affirm Afform Attract. Your place to come to when you need tips and advice when manifesting. We are an affirmation channel and you can find all our affirmation videos on YouTube. Welcome back, listeners. How are you? How are you doing? I hope you're all well. Well, thank you for tuning in. I want to start off with that. I'm grateful to have this podcast. I'm grateful to manage to reach some of you around the world. I really do hope that you enjoy my podcast, and obviously you are because you are still listening. Anyway, let's talk about why is nothing working. I'm listening to affirmations, I'm saying affirmations, I'm scripting, I'm falling asleep to subliminals, and nothing's working. Guys, I get it. You've watched the videos, you've listened to podcasts, and you just feel stuck. You just feel as though like nothing's working, nothing's going to work. There are simple solutions, but the simple solutions you just cannot get your head around. And you are stuck. Why? Now, last podcast before this and the podcast before that, I have touched on similar or practically almost the same topic in trying to get yourself back on track to affirming the life that you want. And the reality is that it's going to be hard work. As easy as manifesting is, but it is made harder when we do not allow ourselves to give in to the easiness of manifesting, and we try so hard and we're so determined, and the more we push is the more we push away what we want to manifest. Now, my podcast, I've said to you before, I always like to help people to find different ways to get them on track through when it comes to manifesting. So I want to do things, I'm going to start from the very easiest thing to do. I don't usually do that. I try and find solutions, but I'm going to start with the easiest one. What I would like you to do is to press the reset button in your mind. I want you to start again. I don't care how desperate you are to move out. I don't care how much money you need because the people are coming after you. I don't care, and you should stop caring. It's the caring part that leads us to fear, desperation, worry, anxiety, and all of that. How many times when your back is up against the wall in any situation that you throw your arms up and a solution eventually comes, or eventually it sorts itself out one way or the other? It may not necessarily always be the way that we want it, but the problem, the issue, whatever it is sorted. And I'm going to say to you, press the reset button, throw your hands up in your air and say, do you know what? Enough is enough. I'm going to start again. I find that when my back is against the wall, I find things are getting on top of me. The best way for me to continue is when I say, I'm starting again. I'm going to reset everything. I'm going to clear my mind and start again. Now, I'm a fan of pen and paper. I've always been a fan. If you want to do things digitally, do it digitally. But what you should do is write down and focus all the things that you want. All the things that you want out of life. Yeah? Relationship, new job, whatever it is, just write it all down. And then pick one thing out of the things that you want and say, do you know what? I'm going to focus on this thing and manifest this. Now, I know for some of us it's hard because there's always 2 or 3 things that we want kind of at once. If you got the capacity to do more than one, I won't say more than three, then do that. If you can't, do the one. And you might think, but I don't want to do the one because there's so much I want to do, but you haven't got those things anyway. So then it's not going to hurt you to focus on the one thing if the others, if nothing is coming at all. So think about that. So take that as a step for you to do. Set the reset button, write down all the things that you want, and then pick one of those things that you want to manifest and focus on it. And the next step is to stop caring. Our biggest problem when it comes to manifesting is that we care, especially when our life is in trouble. We've got debt, we've got to pay this, we're behind on our rent, we're going to get chucked out of our place. And I get it. And it's very difficult to remove yourself from the situation when your situation is so dire. But the problem is, the longer you stay in that dire situation, the longer it's going to continue to be dire, because what's happening is that, and this is the difficult part when it comes to law of assumption or even law of attraction, is we have to assume that it is sorted and it is better. We have to assume that it's already done, but your subconscious mind tells you, no, it's not. Look at you, you're panicking, you're worried, you've got anxiety, this is happening. But you do have to make a stand, and you need to say, okay, I've pressed the reset button. I'm starting again. And these are the things that I need to happen. This is what I'm going to work on first. I've got the reset button. I'm wiping the slate clean. And then you start working on that manifestation that you want to come about. I know some of you are still probably panicking and saying, but that's not going to help me. It's not going to help me. I'm in such dire straits. I'm really stressed out. I'm full of worry. And the cycle just goes on in your head. But I would like to say, guys, trust yourself that you can make things happen. And it starts with letting go of everything. Whether you do this through a 5-minute meditation, just letting go. Just say, I let go of all my anxiety. I let go of all my worry and my stress. I have nothing to fear. I have nothing to stress. I have nothing to lose. And in these instances, it's good to start affirming. Affirming that life is working out. Life is working out as I speak. I am assuming that life is working out for me. Now I'm going to tell you some affirmations to say when normal affirmations isn't helping. So you can change your affirmations like life is always working out for me. I've always got money in my bank account. Things always working out for me, blah, blah, blah. To isn't it wonderful that I always seem to have money in my bank account? Isn't it wonderful that I have my brand new car? Isn't it wonderful that I'm always at peace with myself? Isn't it wonderful that life is just so good to me? Now, when you say these affirmations, it invokes a different feeling. It really does. It's almost like you're imagining, you're using your imagination. Yeah, it engages you to use your imagination more. I find that when I say, isn't it wonderful, I feel happier. It's almost like, imagine when you was younger and you got your posters of your boy groups, those of us who are, born much earlier in life. And you got your posters of your actors or your groups of the people that you like, and you're dreamy, and that person is your quote unquote boyfriend, or you're dating them, and it evokes a real happy feeling. You go into this imagination. Deep down, you are never even going to get to meet them, let alone date them. But when you start imagining a fantasy, it feels so real. It feels like it's actually happening. And that's what you got to do with manifestation. So when you say things, isn't it wonderful that things are always working out for me? Isn't it wonderful that I always seem to get my way? and you say it with tone and you say it with passion. If you try it, just when you finish listening to this podcast, just try saying it versus, I have so much money in the bank. I am always rich. Things always working out for me. Now, those affirmations are powerful too, but sometimes, depending where your state of mind is, will determine how effective it can be. Yeah? And here's another affirmation you can try. You can say, oh, I can just imagine myself having that successful business. Oh, so wonderful. I can just imagine myself driving my new car. I can just imagine myself buying the camera that I want because I have all the money that I need. Now, when you use affirmations with straight up imagination, like you're going into fantasy land, it invokes a feeling. And if you practice that as frequently as you can, your subconscious will start to believe it. How many times have we fantasized about something and your heart feels it, your brain feels it, your being feels it? You're just sitting in your room fantasizing, but yet still there's an energy that believes and feels that it's real. Yeah? Think about people who have had severe trauma. And every time they rethink the trauma that they've gone through, it is almost as though that trauma is actually happening. There's tears in their eyes. They might break out in sweats. Their heartbeat is racing and they're panicking. They could be in a room safe. But because they've tuned back into that trauma, it is as though it is actually happening over again, even though they know it's not, but the feeling of it triggers them. So if we can do that on something that is a very negative experience, we can do that on a very positive experience. So take your time, and even if to write it down or say it randomly in your head, oh, isn't it wonderful? I love having 5K or more in my bank account. Isn't it wonderful that life always seems to work out for me? Here's another way you can affirm. And it's called affirmations, or people call it affirmations. And it's what we do naturally but we usually say in a more negative state. Oh, why does life never work out? Why do I never have enough money, etc.? And replace it with, why am I always so lucky? Why do things always work out for me? I don't understand why I can never just look in my bank account and not see £10,000 in there or 15K. Every time I open my bank account, I always have more than enough money. It's so annoying. I always have more than enough money in there. I can't spend it fast enough because more money keeps coming in. Now, I've given you quite a few examples. And if you're sitting there saying, oh, it's still not helping, I'm going to say this to you. Keep doing it until it does. I'm going to tell you some hard truths there. If you don't cut yourself some slack, if you don't follow the rules or do certain things, you are going to forever be in the state you are. There is no magic pill. Someone can come along and make your life right. Come along. Paid all your bills, got your new house, new car. But if your mindset does not change, you will soon find yourself back in the same position. I think that one of the problems that some of us struggle to get to a place is on some subconscious level. We see how it seems easy for others. We've seen other people's successes. And for some reason, there's a little button that says, if you snap your fingers, everything will work out how you want it. And although manifestation of attraction of assumption is kind of quote unquote marketed that way because it is simple, we kind of take it literally, and it's almost like we don't want to do any work, but you have to do the work. There is nothing in this life, not even manifestation, where you cannot not do the work. You have to do the work, where it's affirming, getting into alignment, keeping focus, getting disciplined in your manifestations. There always is an element of work that you have to do. So now I'm going to end this podcast here, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're someone who is struggling, reset yourself. Write down a list of things that you want to manifest. Take out the ones that are more important and focus on that 1 or 2 manifestations. Use scripting, use affirming, and use visualizations. Wipe the slate clean. Convince yourself that it works so easily. Thank you for listening.